The following podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, medical, or any type of professional advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, laws and regulations surrounding sexuality, relationships, and consent can vary by location and are subject to change. If you have specific legal or medical concerns, we strongly recommend consulting with a licensed professional in your jurisdiction. Listener discretion is advised, as this podcast may discuss adult themes and sensitive topics. By continuing to listen, you confirm that you are 18 years or older. Welcome to the Siren of Freedom podcast, sounding the alarm by bringing clarity and freedom to the realm of sexuality. Our aim is to give others a place to share their stories and release themselves from the weight of shame and guilt.
That with sensory preference, which is, are you an auditory learner, a visual learner, or a kinesthetic learner? Kinesthetic is the touch, right?
Yeah, that's more me.
I think we're all born with all three.
Mhm.
But because of different things in our childhoods, some of those start to wane. And I was the kinesthesia. I was like, Jamie would rub my arm and I'd be like, oh my God, you're rubbing a hole in my arm, you know? But then
It would irritate you, right?
learning, yes, and learning how important touch was to him, I was like, you know what? I am going to grow my touch because it's important to Jamie. And as I've grown it along the way, I love it. I want more touch. So
Mhm.
I have been able to expand that part of me. And it sounds like you have too, Siren, and the culture you have. I know with schools and work and stuff, we have to be so cautious and aware because we're just in a weird place in our world. And so with touch, you're right. We just don't really, especially if you are a kinesthetic learner and experiencer,
Mhm.
there isn't enough touch around to really be, unless your partner, you have that with your partner, but you're not really getting it a lot from other people. I mean, I remember our kids being little, and Jamie, kinesthetic, our kids are all over me. And I'm like, I just need someone to not touch me for 5 seconds.
Right.
Right.
Very
And
common as mom with little kids. I'm touched out. Yeah.
I have
Touched out.
so done. And so learning to grow and expand that, I chose that because I knew that was important to Jamie. I'm very highly visual. And not very long ago, actually, we've been together forever. But it was probably about 7 years ago that I was talking about the kinesthesia and Jamie and the touch. And he's like, oh, I could always use more touch. And I was like, you know what? Wait a minute, though. I love having my space look pretty and neat and clean. And 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 so you haven't worked much on your visual space for me. And he's like, you're right. I haven't done that. And he started doing that. And now he even sees crumbs on the counter. It's like the most amazing thing.
And you're like,
Oh,
oh,
and that's very sexy.
when you
very
wiped those
sexy.
crumbs, babe, I just want to touch you all over, right?
Yes.
My husband didn't
all
believe
over.
me forever, too, that I said vacuuming turns me on. Like,
Yes.
and
Totally.
yeah, say something about that, babe. I know you want to.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it at all. Took me a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Took me a while to believe it, but it's true about you. I still don't. I'm still.
Yeah, but
I'm
here
still
she's
iffy
she's
about-
literally just saying something about
I'm
it.
still iffy about. Here's my conspiracy.
Here we go.
Jamie,
Buckle
I
up.
need you to back me up on this one.
No.
My
right.
conspiracy is that women are starting to use this as a campaign because men will do anything for sex. So it's like, for an example, if let's say the tables are turned, I'll be like, it really turns me on. I mean, you do this, but I would tell every guy, just keep telling your woman, Siren, this doesn't, because you love doing this. But I would say this, what really turns me on is having oral sex while I watch football. Oh.
I love it. That's
Hey,
fantastic.
And
fair
to me,
enough.
it's
Fair
like,
enough.
Great.
Hey,
to me, if that worked the same with women, then we would just say that 75
Yeah, but
times
I'm not
per
trying.
day.
Yep.
But the difference
That's my
is
theory. I think you guys are just trying to get us to clean the house more. And you got
no,
smart and you're
no.
using the thing
let
that
me ask you
works.
this.
Because the difference is
Because it worked.
we're waiting. Like I wait until it happens. Like I'm not saying it would really turn me on if you would vacuum, but when you vacuum, I say,
Yeah.
"Oh my god."
Agreed.
Right? So I'm not
Agreed.
using it in a
Yes.
manipulative way. I'm using it as it's a response of like a
Yeah,
reward, you know? Cuz you got a reward.
Agreed.
You can't
absolutely.
set up the expectation of that, you know, versus or if it was like, "Oh, every time you suck my dick, then you get a new Coach bag or whatever." You wouldn't say
Right.
that to me. Have me suck your dick, then you would buy me a Coach bag, and then eventually my brain would figure out the process. So it's not like
But,
Right.
but here's
it's
here's
not
my
a
thing though.
chore and reward system. It's like, oh, hey, that you're
Yeah.
doing that
Well,
makes
see,
me
I think we made a mistake here. We made, so Socrates. My question to you is, what's the problem?
No, I'm being funny. I'm really just joking. Like,
Well, that's
no,
what
no, no,
I'm
no.
saying.
Let's go back to the science, right? Like, I'm sure you guys teach this, right? Like, it's been just scientifically proven that people learn better with rewards as opposed to punishments or correction,
Oh,
right? Like,
absolutely.
it's already been out there. The secret's out. It's like, that is the best way. And it's not manipulative at all. You know, it's not.
No.
I 110%, you know, my mom raised me on this. Like, I grew up sharing household responsibilities. 100%.
Yeah.
She'd never have to ask me to take the trash out, help clean up after you know what I mean? Help me with the bed. Because
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. No, we both work, we both contribute, we both have responsibilities with kids, and we share. No, it's like, no. So I was just being funny. I'm like, yeah, sure it does, right? You know, like, I'm still gonna take
No,
the trash out,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
whatever, you know.
totally. Yeah. I know.
Exactly.
And also the Pavlov thing is real. We tell our not usually at the together, but I'll usually tell with the coach when we do we sell packages, right? Because we want people to complete a process. We are very directive. We're not he said she said. So we're like, we have homework every week that's really lockstep. We want people to go from here to there and get, learn about their triggers and their blind spots and all the things. In that lockstep, we have phone calls that people can call us or text us, the women with me and the men with Jamie. And in that space, I have told so many women that really, truly catch your partner doing something great. Catch them doing something good and tell them that. Stop complaining about whatever these other things are because it feels really controlling at a certain point. And start, even if you're not trying to be controlling, it still comes across that way.
right.
And start really just digging into whatever you see. Dig into the gratitude, dig into the thanks. And so that actually right there is that by itself can be so transformative for the relationship. Like you said, Socrates, it's not to be manipulative. And I tell them, I'm not saying to manipulate them. I'm saying truly find something you appreciate and let them know how much you appreciate it, no matter what it is. And even if you have to start with something tiny, because you just can't get out of your head because you're hurting or resentmentful. You need to be able to set that aside and look for it, because sometimes I'll have women say, well, I just can't think of anything right now, and that's usually right at the beginning. And
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, well then start looking for it.
Yeah.
And even just looking for it changes it. And then that's also connected to sex and intimacy. Look for the opportunities instead of it. One of the things that we hear, which is so interesting to us, is, well, I just want it to be spontaneous. I don't want to have to ask for what I need or want.
Yeah, the idea of scheduling sex is foreign to most of our clients. I'm like, really? You guys are both
You're
busy.
saying you're too busy.
Yeah, you're busy professionals. You schedule everything else, but you won't schedule this, right? Or time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or time for a conversation.
right, or even just conversation, or actually scheduling a conversation about it. Because, one of the things about having a sexual conversation with your partner is that, you might have been thinking about this for months or even days or years, whatever. That when you bring it to them, it's oftentimes the first time they're hearing about it. So they don't necessarily have a good answer in that moment or a good response. And they might need equal time to think about it and experience that part of the conversation.
Yeah,
Well, and I have to tell you guys too, just telling Jamie, just beginning to, this was very embarrassing for me because it had so much shame attached to it early on. Just telling him what I liked sexually was like, ooh, I don't want to do. That's in the whole
it
story of,
feels
oh,
awkward.
that's yeah, awkward, but also the old message of, oh, that's gross, and like the oral sex thing. I had to really do work, as weird as it sounds, do work around that part of my desire to please Jamie in that way, and vice versa. But for me, it was because the way they talked about it in that week of prayer was that oral sex, if a woman was performing it for a man, they didn't talk about vice versa. Go figure. But
Surprise,
if surprise, but that was it. Even if you were married, you're not gonna make it to heaven. And so that was a story, that was a life belief that was in my DNA, that I had to really work to get out of my DNA and say, actually, this is super beautiful. I love it. I love being able to do that because Jamie loves it, and it turns me on. But
Mhm.
it didn't used to, because I was so tied up in that life belief.
So I really am appreciative of that hard work that you did.
Yeah, thanks, babe.
It really has.
I'm appreciative of your hard work as well.
Well, and it's easy to get stuck on the negativity. I know early on in our relationship, as we were getting to know each other, as people who met later in life and got married, um, we had a lot of the backstory, to unravel. And I know came a one point where I was talking to a counselor and I said, just this, and I don't think I can do this anymore. And she said, okay, write down what's bothering you about Socrates. And so I wrote it down, and it was really just like two things. And she said, and now write down everything that's good. And that was three pages. So even that simple exercise of just like, I really can't think of anything right now. And also sometimes I think, with the control thing, it's like, are you appreciative that they loaded the dishwasher, or are you criticizing how they did it?
Exactly.
So, and we all could fall into that. But
Yeah.
so there
Because nobody loads the dishwasher better than me.
yeah. Well, my son's the best dishwasher loader in this house, so we often default to him. But it's like, are you appreciative of the help, or do you, if you, I had to let go of a lot of that, especially when we moved in together, because I had been a single mom for 10 years, and on the weeks that I didn't have my kids, my house was perfection. And I needed everything to be a certain way. And it got to a point where, Socrates said to me, do you want this house, or do you want the people that live here? And that was
Yeah.
like, oh, that hit me in the
Right.
gut.
And that's really
And
important. And what you're talking about is so important right there, because what happened with you is that the pain that you experienced never really got expressed.
mhm,
And so you exerted that control over the perfect counter and floor and whatever the house looked like, right? It was all perfect for you. And so that's where the pain came out. And so when someone disrupted that perfection, your pain got triggered again.
mm, that's good.
And so it is so strong. Okay, so what you talk about, the big thing, here's three things that will help your sexuality. Number one, feeling your feelings and expressing them well. What Brene Brown calls getting granular with your feelings. Okay, that's number one. That's actually just your passport to be a human being. If you can figure out how to feel all your feelings and express them healthfully, the world will be a better place.
Well, and the side note is that she says that in their research of 166,000 people, they found that very few could name more than 3 to 6 feeling words, like good, bad, sad, angry, fine. So the granular with your feelings
Yeah.
is important, right?
Yeah.
Expressing them in a way
So-
that is understood and heard.
So at our website, bringbackintimacy.com, there's a free feeling wheel. Print it off and live by it. It is a fantastic little tool, and it'll help you so much.
So I interrupted you. Number two.
Number two. So number two. So first of all, feeling your feelings. Number two, what that leads you to, when you can feel your feelings and express it, it'll give you really clear clarity on what's going on. Just like your little worksheet of what's good and what's bad. All it did was just define for you what's really going on.
Right.
Right. And having a clear view of reality is so valuable. Right. But what happens, if you can express your feelings well, you will find the pain. And you'll be able to be very specific. So the second thing you have to do is to be able to forgive. And we work with a lot of Christian people. We work with a lot of non-Christian people, but nobody knows how to forgive well. Nobody. It is not complicated, but we are not taught how to do it. And there are basically 10 simple steps that you need to do. And when you do it, you really feel the difference and you have true forgiveness. And number three, we talked about it a little bit earlier, and we talked about being kinesthetic or visual. The third one is auditory. These are sensory preferences. We actually have a personality test that will tell you your sensory preferences and what they are. And it's an idealpersonality.com. and that's our personality test. And it gives you also your personality type as well as your sensory preference and your introversion and extroversion. But what's important about that is most of us don't have a clue. I was a kinesthetic. I had no idea what that even meant.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was a little bit touchy-feely. I liked that kind of thing, but I didn't know how to express that or ask for it. And Marla didn't know how to ask for her visual space to be, like she would like it in a way that I could relate to. And I'm actually, my secondary is auditory. I'm an auditory learner, and understanding that that's how I learned I did it kind of naturally in college. I just listened to things and I was able to regurgitate it that way. But having more knowledge about that would have been so helpful early on, right?
Right.
Just knowing and what's important about that is how you process information goes through one of those three channels. And so if I'm a visual learner and you're giving me auditory instructions, I have to translate from auditory to visual and then process that information. It takes extra energy. And I'm going to miss parts of it because it's difficult. But if you can teach someone in all three areas, auditory, kinesthetic, and visual, then you're automatically hitting their primary lead.
It is interesting. It occurs to me when you said that, because we've talked a little about this, but the kinesthetic, a man who is highly kinesthetic is oftentimes, because of childhood stuff and the shame around sex, and then the masturbation, and when you're but we always laugh because when you're 12 years old, however old, right, and when you're coming into into your age there, that it's just a little too handy, right, for men. They got it. Well, for women too, if they figure it out, but for men, it's just hanging out there. So with that, there's the kinesthesia. The kinesthesia that's like, I get comfort by ejaculation, or I feel comforted in this sexual space. And what has been also was in our relationship kind of confusing was Jamie was equating kinesthesia and touch with sex, as opposed to sex was a bonus, not the main event for touch. So that's another thing that we actually have when we work with clients, is that a lot of times men have connected sex with kinesthesia and touch and getting their needs met that way, and not looking at it from the perspective of there's a lot of things around touch that don't lead to sex necessarily. If they do, great, but that are just touch.
Yeah.
And to get those needs met in that way too.
Yeah, a good healthy marriage will have good healthy non-sexual touch.
Yeah.
And so that's something often that has to be developed because of the taboos in our culture around such things. So yeah, so learning how your sensory preference works is another really important. So those three things: learning how to feel and express your feelings, learning how to forgive, and learning how to get met in the channel that you prefer, are things that are going to really improve the quality of sex you're going to have.
We got so sidetracked, like we went on this whole different path, and I'm happy with it. But I was also curious when you were gonna back it all the way up to the 18 thing, and I don't know if we can tie
Mhm.
that in now, because now I'm like wondering on Jamie's side of things.
Okay,
Well, also,
Uh,
I think probably have to go back to like
I have to go back to 12,
Yeah.
and this is heavy, right? This is a heavy share. At 12 years old, I found hardcore pornography of my mother, and that was deeply confusing and then traumatizing in and of itself. And fast forward, and then also there's another factor here that we're talking about, in terms of masturbation. What is healthy masturbation? What is unhealthy, right? And there's a factor that we've been working with. Our mentors taught us about this, and it was really there's a mother. It's easiest to describe it in the mother-son bond. It happens in the father-daughter and mother-daughter and
it's
father-son. It can happen in any direction.
over bond or under bond.
There's an overbond or underbond.
It affects the
Mhm.
same way.
Right. And so when there is a over emotional connection with a boy and his mother, there is an emotional burden that is given to the boy. He's taking care of her.
He's dependent.
Like she's dependent on him or absent. It can be the pendulum swing either side. And so what is healthy masturbation? But it's important to explore yourself. It's important that you learn what feels good at a pace that is natural and self-exploratory for you. Um, and that's a perfectly normal, natural thing. I don't know what the numbers would be, but I'm pretty sure it would be fairly often for teenage boys that masturbate, as far as the averages are concerned. But what we're talking about here is an over reliance on the masturbation because of the emotional load. So there's a sexual emotional loop that we all have, and it's just easiest to describe it as for me from the male perspective, and
even your story.
and so my story. So I was my dad was super abusive, and so my mother and I would kind of cower after his rages and support each other, and so there was a heavy emotional bond there. And so I was over reliant on masturbation, so that when fast forward to 18 and getting sexually active with Marla, I my my repertoire was very simple and very quick, and
Well, you had other relationships in between.
I had a few, a few other
Well,
girlfriends.
I was just thinking that, and then you had relationships with girls, and
Right.
just relationships.
So from masturbation to 16 having regular sex, and then 18 meeting Marla.
And being so good at it. Both of us.
Well, I was good at getting you to the naked part. That was about all I was good at.
Yeah, he's
That's
like,
all I needed.
I thought it was so funny when you said, if we're naked, we have to have sex. But it's like, we get naked for lots of reasons, including taking a shower, changing our clothes.
Yes.
So his just like
But you generally don't get.
simplistic view of it was like, what the heck?
It was exactly.
Well, obviously, that is not one of my proudest moments. That's for sure.
That's
It's all right. You're
18
18.
year olds.
You're 18.
Yeah. And
just makes sense.
barely, and so incredibly insecure. Like Marla talked about, the stages of development, and I at every stage I had major traumas that I knew when I was 27 when we were going through that process. So I have troubles with trust. I have troubles with insecurity, and the list.
Used to, yeah.
Yeah, used to for sure. Well, I wouldn't say that it's all the way gone.
No,
You
I
know,
don't think it ever goes
No.
completely away.
there's pieces that you have to work on forever, and that's good, because if you just stop working, you stop growing, right?
Exactly.
Um, but so that whole 12-year period where Marla was unsuccessful, completely unsuccessful in having an orgasm.
That is
We,
insane. I know you've been making
I
up
know.
for it, right, Marla? You've been like
Yes.
killing it. But
I, you know
also
what?
This is
even having them, like, I thought I was like, oh man, I am like sexually like alive. But I was like 1 orgasm per session or maybe 2. And then when
yeah.
I met my husband, it like went to a completely different level to where, because people
Yep.
would describe this like, oh, I've had like my friend, we were on this like a girls trip in Vegas, and I said, well, I was in the bathroom, like just listening, like, when our single days, right? And then, and I said, well, sounds like you had a really good time in there. She's like, yeah, he only made me come like 3 times. And I was like, what? Well, that's great. Like, I only come like once. And she's like, oh yeah, usually it's like at least like 10. And I was like, you're lying. And then I made her describe like what an orgasm was. I was like, well, what does it actually
Yeah.
feel like? And like, I don't believe you. I did not believe her. And then,
Yeah.
when you experience it, you're like, oh, this is what they were talking about. So making up for lost time.
Yes.
But it blows my mind, like
Yes.
12 years of not really getting there. That is crazy. But
No,
it's like,
I
it
know.
happens to so many women. So many.
Well,
So,
and the ridiculous thing is the information. Like nobody told me. My mom and they gave me a book. Mom and dad gave me a book when I started my period, and it was about your period and about sex and having it was like a whole picture book, but not like with detailed pictures. It was like for kids my age. And that was pretty much it. And my parents talked about sex all the time, and my parents, we knew they were having sex all the time.
Kind of in a
Not
funny,
all the time,
kind of in a funny ha-ha kind of way. Nothing
serious,
detailed.
but also my mom. Yeah, my mom later. Sometimes there's TMI, right? But my mom later was like, "Well, I've very, very rarely had any success." So here I was repeating a pattern and a trauma, because my mom was also sexually abused when she was 5, and my grandmother was also sexually abused when she was 5. So this pattern of fake it till you make it. So we were, pretty much faking it, and hopefully once in a while it might actually happen. But so those first 12 years, I was like, I okay, and it would feel good sometimes. I'd be like, well, that felt good. I guess maybe that's what people are talking about. But then having an orgasm, and I was like,
night and
holy
day.
shit balls.
Right. Did you like
I was
fly
like,
through outer space and like blow
pretty
a hole in the
much.
ceiling
Yep.
when it like actually?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was like,
It was a victorious day. It was a victorious day. It would go down in infamy.
Did you get a
what
certificate
heaven
of
is?
achievement? Like,
we were
man,
Print them out.
we were far too busy for that printing job.
yeah. You're like, oh right,
Well,
well now
and as
let's
far
try
as the
this
making it up
again.
goes, right, exactly. But as far as the making it up goes, this again might be TMI, but
There's no
last
TMI
year,
on this
Marla,
podcast for
right,
serious.
right.
I feel
Well,
like this is pretty G-rated for what we usually get into. So
right. Well, what I'm saying is this feels a little braggy on my part, but but we had 300 orgasms each in 2024. We counted just to be careful about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the most explosive, expansive experiences. Like I think I left my body.
Oh yeah.
And not just last year, but it's been that way for a while. And it's like, and again, just gets better and better. I seriously said to Jamie not very long ago, like, could we die because it gets so good? Like,
I keep saying that if you have a small heart attack every day, you never have a heart attack.
right, exactly.
No, I mean that's the way to go though, right? That's like my dream.
Yeah,
We both just like simultaneously orgasm and our hearts burst. That's so romantic to me.
Yeah, so romantic.
That's exactly how I want to die.
That works.
Yeah.
Well, Marla's grandparents used to. Grampy would say, "Well, we got to have sex once a week,
If we want to,
whether we want to or not."
And they were like 90.
Yeah, they're 90 something.
It's like, okay, Grammy and Grumpy, we don't know. I want this information.
So yes, it's possible to die that way
Yeah.
if you're careful enough.
That'd be great though. I don't I mean it's
Yeah.
a little step up from the
Absolutely.
Notebook for sure, but
Yeah.
Well,
Agreed. Well, maybe that's actually what they were doing. We just didn't get to see that part of it.
well, I
right.
think to finish, what I was getting at, I didn't want to share gory details and leave them hanging, is that trauma, what it did for me was it put me in a place where it was kind of a combined thing, right? My dad's emotional abuse, physical abuse, um, and manipulations were so intense that I was in special education from the time I was in second grade to sixth grade, because I was just totally checked out.
When school was comfortable.
Well, and these adults at school weren't gonna. I wasn't afraid of it. My dad was so scary that these adults at school were nothing. I could con them into anything, and so I never had to. I got extra recesses and candy for doing my schoolwork, and school was like a little vacation. But
Yeah.
that checking out was the important part, right? When you I think a lot of men can have a strong ability to be checked out. Women don't do it as much because they can struggle with this issue. But they have a better corpus callosum. Their brain is more connected, and so they can. It's not really multitasking, but they can shift tasks quickly, and more easily than men can. And when a man numbs out and goes down the rabbit hole, he's only partially conscious to the real world. In his body, he may not feel feelings. He may not even be aware of his body very well as far as taking care of it, because you're just numb to the whole experience of being human, and that can be a habit. Now, it happens with everybody. I mean, men or women, I'm sure it happens to both sexes, but I think it's easier for men to stay there. And I think that stays disconnected in a relationship. And by not feeling your feelings, by not being able to express them and even know what they feel, and be able to share them, how do you even know if your partner is upset with you, right? If things are green, if you're not clear about what feelings you're feeling. And so that is a huge barrier for a lot of that. And that's where I was totally checked out and just checking the things off the list, right? And yes, so sex meant touch. And also it was very comforting to have this orgasm help me sleep at night. And so, yeah, we had sex every night for 12 years.
Yeah, and it was good for you and comforting, but then, it left her feeling empty.
Right. And that was only because I was so checked out. See, I don't think,
Mhm.
I don't think it would have been, I needed to be unsatisfied. I needed to say, wait a minute, Marla's just not getting enough out of this.
I was also checked out though, because I just thought I was broken.
You just
That
went
was
through the
my main
motions,
thing.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. And it wasn't until, I read a book about it's okay, some people have the accelerator, some people have the brakes on hard. And I was like, I literally just slammed on my brakes when I was 5 years old. Like, don't ever go here. Don't ever even think about it. And not that I didn't think about it, but I also was like, I'm not gonna be bad. I'm not gonna be bad girl. And that was how sad, how incredibly sad is that? Because I feel like I lost out on a lot I lost out a lot of years. But then, like you said, it's been fun trying to, make up for lost time.
Right. Well, and I remember being I got divorced when I was 30, and then I lived for 10 years as a single woman, and yeah, I was trying to get out there, as much as I could during that
Yeah.
time. But I also would cry and I would say, I would be like, I was made for more than this because I am so
Yeah.
sexual and like want to express myself, and I have like no one to do it with. So
Yeah.
sometimes I
Mhm.
think like, we're like, I was stuck on the, oh, dirty 30s, and they were just wasted on like random hookups and, all this stuff, which was fun. But then also
Yeah.
to just like get into a relationship where we could express it to the fullest. Like it's a crazy difference. And I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
the 40s are, I guess, it. I didn't do the dirty
Yeah.
30s in that way, but now, who I am is being celebrated and not,
Yes.
tolerated. And so that's,
Yeah.
part of
I
being on
love
here
that.
too. So,
Yeah, and the fact that you guys get to have that, because I mean, to have found each other and to get to experience this with each other and want to experience this with each other and want to grow it with each other is so fantastic. And I know there's lots of people out there like this. I guess probably Jamie and I obviously we see a lot more people on the other side of that spectrum.
mhm.
And we have had clients who, they've been married maybe 6, 7 years, and things were super great at the beginning and then just faded away because of different things, and then they don't know how to even talk about it again.
Well, the national average of married people having sex is once a month,
That
and
is
and that's old information.
sad.
Well, it
Yeah.
gets worse. The millennials and zennials, they don't. Well, I don't know how old. I don't know how old the zennials are now, but the millennials aren't even having sex. The zennials are 25, so they're not having sex either. So and it's way lower numbers. They're having sex. As a matter of fact, it's a problem in Japan and South Korea that they are already below the sustainable birth rate.
Mhm.
So basically, in 100 years, there'll be very few native South Koreans and Japanese. And the United States was not very far, about 10 years behind in those numbers, tracking forward. And again, this is older information. I haven't looked it up recently, but the truth is, the phone thing that you talked about, the phones are taking over.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a dopamine loop that is brainwashing the social media and the phone together, and it is literally reducing the first. I mean, human contact is not happening, and the averages are going down and down and down in regards to sex.
Yeah, they don't even want it, which is so interesting.
Right? It's not even.
Well, and
Rather play
it's,
video
yeah,
games.
it's like if you haven't talked to me all day and you've just been on your phone or wherever, like I don't feel close to you or connected enough to you to like do the next step. And it's
Yep.
like people are having so many outside relationships via the phone that they lose sight of who's actually in front of them. They don't
Oh,
even
absolutely. That's
spend
a
time.
big problem.
They're like, "Oh, I got to get back to this person. I got to text them right back. I got to call them right back." And it's like your husband or wife is sitting right in
Mhm.
front of you and you're ignoring your spouse for someone that is not even in your home. And
Yeah,
that's
Just look
just
around at a
really.
restaurant. Just look around at a restaurant
Mhm.
on a Saturday night. If you go to a family style restaurant and it's a little noisy, there'll be 85 or 90% of people on their phones.
Socrates wants to say something.
I'm gonna push back on this one, guys. And I'm an old
Good.
school guy.
Try.
I'm gonna push back. And I went down this rabbit hole of this influencer, and he was talking about this guy who was doing this really crazy art. I don't know if you've ever seen it on Facebook, where they had two people. Um, they look like, I don't know, they look like claymation, but they're not claymation. They're just drawn, and they're having
Mhm.
sex, but they're both looking at their phones, right?
Yeah.
And our generation sees that as a lack of connection to each other, and they're seeing it as a lack of intimacy, a lack of um you know um value in what that person's experience is. But I was watching this influence, and he was like, number one, who says we do that all the time? Number two, he says, some of us, what we do is, we don't, one of us love to listen to music on the phone, or music, but my wife loves EDM. I hate the stuff. I like gangster rap. She hates the stuff. We put music on that we both like and we're enjoying. Or other
Oh,
people are
interesting.
like, you know what? We've been having sex since we were 12 years old. Now we're like 25. Okay, we've tried all this other stuff. You guys took, 60 years to try this stuff. We tried it in 10 years. You know what they're doing now? They're actually, um, in order to make sure that they're having sex and scheduling, they're like, even if we'll want to watch TV or play a game, they'll play a game with each other on the phone while having sex. Not that that's all they ever do when they have sex, but it's not the way us people of our age are looking at it. They're like, these are ways to connect. These are ways to even be more intimate. These are ways to even spice up sex in our generation, which is the phone generation. We're incorporating it into our play, as you can say. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was really fascinated
Yeah.
by that perspective.
That is an
Well,
interesting one, and I have that's kind of new to me, but the same, and I applauds, fantastic. If that's if it's conscious and you're doing it that way, that's fine. The problem, what we're talking about, is that the phone use, like Siren said, there's not a connection between us because we're on the phone separately all day. Right. Using the phone during sex, like, okay, fine. Way better than watching porn, I'm sure. And I'm not
Or if
judging,
someone's into that.
and we're not judgmental about that, but it statistically doesn't help. Right. It's more of a barrier for most people. And again,
Not all
to
people.
each their own, and we don't have a burden to moralize anything about that. Whatever works to get you there, as far as I'm concerned.
If nobody's hurt by it.
Yeah, well, the problem with pornography, of course, is the trafficking issues that are associated with most of pornography. And so I'm not opposed to the acts or to witnessing them if it's done in free and consensual ways, for everybody. And so, but there's a tremendous number of porn addiction issues that we run into all the time, where it just interferes with everything. It interferes with all, using it together, great. If that's all you do and that's how you do it, then fantastic, good for you. Please choose, traffic-free, selections, and
or make your
do
own.
it,
Make your own videos.
yeah, fantastic, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
the best way. Make your own videos and
Yeah.
watch those. Like sometimes we'll make some things and then how you can cast to your TV. We have a TV in our room and
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
we will, watch stuff that we have made together, little clips or whatever,
Yeah.
and just pop some popcorn and watch that. And
Oh
then,
my God.
and
There
then
you
it
go.
leads to
Hey, and
then it leads
that's
to other
educational,
things.
having a
Yeah.
different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, it leads
I
to other
love it.
things. So, and then where my husband will do also some things that called slut challenges, and he will send me
Ooh.
something and say, "Go to the bathroom," and while you're at the
Yeah.
gym, and take
Yeah.
take a picture of your booty or whatever, just different things that are just to keep things spicy throughout that lead
Yeah.
to more. So it's just that creativity of you can use your phones for good, but what we were talking about was focusing on. But anything, if it takes away from what you need to be doing, it can be harmful. Porn, phones, food,
Anything. Yeah.
anything at all.
Cocaine. These are all problems if you
I
Yeah.
love
use
cocaine.
too much.
I love cocaine. I've never actually, I like to joke and say, I've never done cocaine. I've just been done by someone that was on cocaine one time in
With
Vegas.
cocaine. Yeah.
I meant to say I love
I
it.
haven't done it,
Cocaine.
but I've
I
been
can't
done.
believe you
If they
said
can still manage, I guess.
Oh man, it was 5 hours.
So-
So they managed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They've managed.
Lord, oh Lord, that's
Woo.
There's been a theme, and I want to kind of go back to it because I think I want to give a little, I want to drop a little bit of advice for any husband who is complaining about sex. And I would love to hear you guys as professionals' opinion on this. But I feel like you're going to agree because everybody's been dropping hints and saying anyway. But I would say this. If any of you gentlemen out there are feeling like, I'm asking my wife for more sex and she's just not giving it to me or showing interest, I would say this. Try a challenge for 30 days to flirt with her, right, without expecting sex from the morning till the time you usually want it, and look back and see if she's gotten more. And what I mean by that is use your phone. If you're a phone, I'm addicted to my phone. You guys are talking about me. So let's talk about me.
Okay.
Use your phone.
Good.
Use your phone. Text her something really cute and say something like, "Ooh, I really loved you when you were in this lingerie." Or something really simple. "Good morning, love. I was just thinking about how beautiful you are and how sexy you are. And I hope you have the best day. I loved kissing you goodbye." And then at lunch, be like,
Set a timer
set a timer
throughout the day.
Right.
I've done that
Ask
before.
ChatGPT to remind you 3 times in a day, and it will. Right. And then say at lunch, "Oh, I was just thinking about you all day at work, and you know how beautiful you are and how sexy you are." And then when you get home, it doesn't have to be anything. When you get home, when you normally go to kiss her, hi, if you do that, if you have do the routine differently, get in, say, "Hey babe, come to the car real quick." Be in the back seat and just give her a flower and kiss her, and then get out. Do something simple, easy to do, flirt throughout the day, and try it. I'm not saying it's going to fix every problem. Maybe your wife has medical issues or psychological issues where she needs to refer to a professional. Maybe you're doing a lot of other stupid shit that you don't need to be doing throughout the day. I'm not
We call
saying
this
there's a panacea, but I'm saying if you are a decent guy, you're treating your wife decent, and you're doing things in a decent way, but you're still not getting the sex life you want, I have to understand that women, we are like the sun. We're up and it's there all day until we're asleep. That's the sun. Women are like the moon. They go through a process and a cycle, and you have to get them there. And the way you do it is start throughout the day. And it's simple things: 3 text messages, 3 hints, couple
Without
of things throughout the
expectation,
days without expectation. A little slap on the butt,
Yeah.
a little, turning something like, "Oh, can you take out the trash? Well, how about I take out the trash and give you a kiss too? How about that?" You know what I'm saying? Like something's little small things, and then give yourself a 30-day challenge and look back and see how much sex you got from your wife.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool you say that, because we do have a 30-day challenge we send to our clients that's similar, like, do a slow dance in the morning, and every day has something different. I love it. I love that idea. What we call that is foreplay all day,
Oh, I like that.
because you're literally engaging in foreplay. Is not what people always, you guys know, foreplay is way bigger, way different than what people think of it as being when you look at it from the perspective of what you just said. Foreplay all day is we're connecting throughout the day, whatever that looks like, and we're doing it differently than we normally have done it. And we're being intentional about it. Everything you just said, Socrates, is exactly yes.
Well, I don't do
Because
any of
that's
that because
part
I'm
of the
addicted to
tension.
a nympho. So I'm just kidding. I don't want her to want more sex. I'm trying to I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that you're looking at it a little bit wrong, though, because I think if you did those things, that would meet a need that I'm trying to fulfill with sex. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
agreed.
trying to
True.
fulfill
It's powerful
something
stuff.
that sex gets me and always has. And if you did those things throughout the day, like added to that, then it would satisfy me versus turn me on more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
Yeah, that's
actually
that's
that
something
really
that
helps.
that kind of learned while we were gone out of town.
Yeah,
Is some
actually,
things like
that
that.
Well,
really
and that
helps.
was, and that was with Jamie and I. Definitely part of it too was Jamie thinking he wanted sex all the time, but the truth was, when we started doing that kind of stuff, there was a real filling in that space that had been lacking before. That changed that, so that just a lot of times it did end up being having sex at the end of the day or during the day or whatever, but it was actually a more expanding that oxytocin, and creating a different connection, a different kind of connection.
Yeah.
So the challenge is fantastic idea. Adding into this, getting to that foreplay all day concept. It doesn't have to be kinky, but if you have a kink that would help it be more satisfying, bring it in. Be creative.
We actually have an app that we use. What's the name of the app? Well, we've only used it a couple times because we'll start it and we'll be like, forget this, and we'll do what we're gonna do. But the app is cool because like one of the ones that we did was it was slow, and it was like just take it super slow. And I tell you what, both of us, I could see Jamie getting a little bit antsy, like, okay, well, it's gonna happen now. It's got to happen. But it was like was it a 30-minute thing that it was just take it super slow and like rub with the feather like this and do this, and it was like this whole slow thing that at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is a little slow, because Jamie and I are usually like, okay, we're ready, oh, let's go. And I mean, we'll do some the foreplay all day. When you get to that point, it's like, let's go on like Donkey Kong.
Right.
In the sea, but then there's the place of going slow like that. It changed, there were a lot of things that we discovered in that were really powerful. And so doing something like that where, and at first it was a little weird because you can choose what voice you want. And so it was a female voice, but it was not like it was just a really well done, so that didn't even think about the voice. We were just thinking about each other. But sometimes it's just switching it up like that too, is doing something that's kind of unexpected. That's not what you would normally do, but that's like this way. I mean, this thing seriously was 30 minutes of very, very,
Very slow build up, which is great. And not that we haven't had that before, but having
it's just different.
it was just different, and different ideas and different things, little things that you might not think about. Suggestions. There's lots of apps out there. I don't know if I want to mention the one we have or not, but
Oh yeah, that probably
it's
advertising.
yeah.
Oh no, you can mention apps.
Being
You can.
creative.
It's just free
yeah,
advertising.
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
Melba. It's called Melba, and it
It's
has
not
different role plays and different things on there that are kind of fun as far as we can both look at it, experience that. But I think the big deal here though is you don't even need that kind of thing if you can. That might spark some creativity, and that's great. Being creative is one of the big limitations that we see. We hear people's problems all the time, and we've had lots of people that start with, well, it hurts, like we can't do it the traditional way because it hurts. One of them has pain of some kind. And so, okay, you don't have to insert tab A into slot B. That's not the only way to have sex.
Well, we also are very aware. It's really interesting because when there is pain involved, for let's just say, oftentimes perimenopausal or menopausal women can have that be a part of their experience. I haven't experienced that, so I can't say, yeah, I get this, I know how to fix that. But we have people around us that have that, and with that pain, it's what we really the science around it is that she's not feeling fully safe and open. And you guys both addressed this really well tonight about the safety factor. I mean, you guys didn't say the word safe necessarily, but the way you guys talk about your relationship and your experience with each other is that you both came in, you both feel or have felt meeting each other, coming into this relationship, that you are safe with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that by itself is such an opening, even if you are menopausal and menopausal.
Right.
You don't have to live in that space. And also, please, please, please go get your hormones checked and do whatever, because it's worth keeping. It's worth having sex. It's worth having that kind of a relationship, because some people just give up on it. And I don't want you to do that if you're in that space. Anybody that might be in that space.
The good news is that 50-year-old women right now are having a really great time because they are embracing sex, and it's the first time ever that women are divorcing men that won't give them sex.
Yeah, that's true.
And so,
Well, that's not why I got rid of my ex-husband, but if that was a reason, it was a good reason.
Yes,
that wasn't my reason, but it was part of it was, yeah. So yeah, we're definitely in like a whole new era of different ways to get those needs met. But I think,
Yeah.
for me, it's like being married to Socrates has created that safe place for me to figure out what's actually going on with all of my traumas and triggers and things from the
Yeah.
past. Like we've done a lot of counseling with
Yeah.
EMDR,
Well,
I
and
love.
and then just being able to like, even just discover along the way. It was like even this just last weekend of me being like, what I'm actually seeking is maybe not sex, but it's the focused attention, you know?
Yep.
yeah,
And so
Yep.
when you are in that sexual space, you are getting that focused attention from your partner when all of life is
Yeah.
busy and we're distracted and we're doing all these other things. And I think I switched from, the five love languages. I've always thought of myself, oh, acts of service and words of affirmation. Well, now I like retook it and I'm totally quality time and touch now. So it's just something
Hmm.
completely different. Whereas, sex was my way of getting, I the attention that I needed, and
Yes.
so I'm thinking like, okay, well maybe it's not so much of like needing more sex like you're talking about, but it's just figuring out how I need more of the foreplay all day situation. And then I could
Yes.
just go to bed snuggling in his arms and be just fine, you know? So
Yeah.
this has been a really good conversation for me
No,
to like
I love
learn
it.
I
from.
do
I
love
love
So
that,
it.
and again, that's hugely important because when I talked about that sexual emotional loop, right?
mhm.
When that sexual emotional loop is filled,
Symbiotic.
symbiotic, it is a natural rotation. You want to be more emotionally connected. You want to be more sexually connected.
Well,
Mhm.
And
you guys need to. We would love for you guys to take our quiz. Bringbackintimacy.com. The front page has on the top of it of our website has an intimacy quiz, and it's the 8 pillars, and it's super fun because you guys can look at your scores, and we'll send you guys a couple of worksheets and stuff with it. But it gives you the 8 intimacies and where you're scoring in each one of them, and how you each take it individually, and how that compares to each other's scores, and what areas do you want to start expanding.
yeah, and what you use is use your strength areas to leverage your weakness areas, and it makes it easier to grow in those areas. It's really fantastic, actually.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see your guys' scores and have a conversation about that, because there's the 8 pillars we have, and there's probably so many more, but the 8 pillars that we have for intimacy are all so important to a relationship, not just one or two or three. And a lot of people, it's usually about 2 to 4 that they really are strong in, and then the rest are like, oh yeah, we hadn't even really thought about that.
Yeah, you
But
don't
it's
realize
but
there's so
that
much
include
out there, that has so many tools.
yes,
It's just about having the tools in the toolbox and knowing what tool to use and when
yep,
to use it. So,
exactly,
and we
Absolutely.
talk about that all the
exactly.
time. So, well, I
I
think
love it.
that
Well,
we
and that's
need
most
to.
important. And
Oh, go
yeah, we
ahead.
can close out.
Go ahead.
That is so important. Again, you're so good at bringing out the key points. Um, Knowing your how to express yourself emotionally leads you to that
Mm-hmm.
every time. And so that's a skill that most people can always grow in, is learning how to find their feelings, where they are in their body, and how to get them out of your body.
Yeah, I like that a
Mhm.
lot. That's definitely something I'm going to be personally exploring a lot more from this conversation. But we've definitely talked long enough that this is going to be a 2-part. We just decided to keep talking and then we'll have our editor split it up. But,
Awesome.
and then I feel like, yeah, we need to do that quiz and then we can have you guys on it. Because, man, we didn't even get to more of the juicy stuff with,
I know. We didn't get to talk dirty. Come on now. I thought this was
yeah.
going to be a cool podcast.
Talking
I know. Okay,
dirty.
well, so what's your top 3 like dirty tips then, Jamie? Like, oh, what, babe?
All right,
Oh.
because this is what I wish I would. So part of our story is that church story, right?
I'm curious too.
Well, we had that church. We had a church approved book that we read, and we actually read it like just before we were married, and like
Ugh.
we had it at our honeymoon, and it had everything except for what you really needed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was put your tongue on it.
Diagram.
Put your tongue on it until they're happy.
There you
Yep.
go.
That's I needed to know that. I had no idea. Nobody ever told that to me. Nobody ever mentioned that. I had no idea that that was a thing. And that, and that didn't happen for many more years. And that was
Oh my
sad,
goodness.
right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to get down there and rub it good with your tongue. I'm sorry, but
Like,
that is the
okay.
number one gift.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
if you're new to that and you haven't tried it, then try eating it like you eat an ice cream cone and then see
Yes.
where you get from
I
there.
like
And then
that.
you can, but women really have to be
Like
directive
you
in that
really,
area.
really like the ice cream. You got to
It's your
really press
favorite.
it in there.
It's your favorite.
Yes.
It's your favorite ever. Yes, exactly.
I love
Oh, I
it.
love it.
Well,
I-
my husband is looking at me because we really have to close this out. So
I know.
I guess
Yeah,
that
I
will
know.
be
You guys
our
have had a
one
long
solid
couple
tip. But I
days.
like that a lot. So, but it's been a pleasure having you guys on here. And we'll put all of your stuff in the show notes so people can find you guys. But the main
Perfect.
thing is
Thank
bringbackintimacy.com. Thanks for you guys being on.
Yes.
And have a great night to all of
You're
our
very
listeners.
welcome. Thank you for having us. What a wonderful podcast.
We've enjoyed it. Yes, thank you.
No more chains, breaking rules, rewriting names. This is our time, this is our fire. Hear the call, we're rising higher. On your truth, live out loud. No more fear, stand up proud. You were made to rise. This is your time. Waves may crash, but we still stand. Hearts unchained, no demands. Follow the voice, hear the sound. Freedom's here, we've been found. The siren of freedom calling you home. No more hiding, let yourself roam. Rise with the tide, fearless and free. This is your destiny. Waves may crash, but we still stand. Hearts unchained, no demands. Follow the voice, hear the sound. Freedom's here, we've been found. The siren of freedom calling you home. No more hiding, let yourself roam. Rise with the tide, fearless and free. This is your destiny. The siren of freedom calling you home. No more hiding, let yourself roam. Rise with the tide, fearless and free. This is your destiny.
Thank you so much for listening today. We hope this podcast has been an encouragement to you. You can find us on our website, thesirenoffreedom.com, and also on social media and Patreon under the Siren of Freedom podcast. Your support is what helps us continue to sound the alarm of freedom.